On today's episode, Courtney and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Abbe Large, financial planner with Lenox Advisors, and we're going to be talking and breaking down the topic of money, how to get into the conversation with customers, the types of questions to ask, the mindset, the behavior. What is their relationship with money? We're going to be talking about all these things and much, much more: life insurance, long term care planning, the importance of having a plan. So, with that being said, let's start the show. You need more life insurance premium every single year and you struggle with it. If you're anything like me, I used to struggle with the same thing. I could write easy $100,000 term policies all day long. But when it came to writing big death benefit, big premium policies, I didn't know how. And that's exactly why I created the Six Figure Life Insurance Producer course for you, because I wasn't trained in those conversations. And I don't want you to experience the same struggles I had to go through, where I was barely able to make a commission check and pay my bills. You get video training that teaches you exactly how to have the appointment conversation. Not only that, we teach you how to also bring it up on the phone, how to have those virtual appointments, how to pivot to your current customers, and how to actively prospect your current customers. Not only do you get the video training, but you get word tracks and scripts on everything that we teach. And the best part is you own this. One investment, one purchase, and you own this forever. So you never have to worry about struggling again when it comes to life insurance. So, hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your host, Michael and Courtney Weaver. And we have a very special guest with us today, Abbe Large. Abbe, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics today, and that's money. We're talking about money today. But as we were saying right before we started this, is it's not everyone's favorite topic to talk about. Actually, money is hardly talked about at all. And so I'd love to go into your experience around maybe a little bit about why money is so taboo in most households and relationships.
Yeah, it's very strange to and revealing at the same time because when I meet with my clients and we get to talking about the finances and the first question I normally ask them is what is their relationship with money and what was their relationship growing up in a household with parents who were dealing with money and just tell me about that. And then I shut up and then I let them talk. And it's extremely interesting the differences that a couple will have. For example, I had a client last week. I asked that question: what was your relationship with money growing up? And the husband had one answer, which was, I have no issues. We talked about it openly. And then the wife said, well, I grew up very wealthy. It was private jet wealthy. And my father went bankrupt. And now I am so risk adverse and I have issues with it. And so that was extremely revealing to me. So I was able to address that core financial behavioral response by addressing it head on because people don't talk about money. They feel that you're right. A lot of families think it's taboo. I have families who have elderly parents who have inheritance that they know that they're getting, but they have no idea what the inheritance is, where things are owned, where everything, nothing. And so it is this unknown mystery of what is it about money that everyone's freaked out to talk about? Because when you really need it, or when there's something going on in the family that requires a lot of money to be spent, or an inheritance, or insurance, or what have you, it should not be taboo. It should be second nature. And I think that stems from the way people talk about money when they're with their parents or with their families when they were younger, because it's
Mhm.
ingrained, right? So I tried to get the behavioral aspect of how people think of money, how it affects their psyche, how it affects their emotions, how it affects them financially, to be able to really dive in to make the right decisions for them.
What are the most common answers when you're asking that question that people are sharing with you?
Oh, I get so many answers. I get answers that, "Oh, we never talked about it as kids. It was taboo." "Oh, we talked about it all the time, but I have no idea where anything is or what to do about it." I get experiences like I just told you where there's been a catastrophe, or I get someone who has just been pampered their whole lives and have no idea. I get a lot of answers, but again, the answers help me create a better fact find, right? Because people make financial decisions sometimes unconsciously because of a
Mhm.
behavior that they developed, not knowing that they developed it. And I think what I do is I bring it out in the forefront. So the answers run the gamut. I think the most powerful answer that I got, like as I said recently, was about this couple who really thought about money in such a different way. And me as a financial planner, then I have to figure out, okay, this product is great for him, but not necessarily for her. And if they want to have it jointly held, then I have to compromise there. And so
Mhm.
knowing the internal factor that moves them, I'll be able to recommend a product that compromises both of their risks, compromises both
Mhm.
of their feelings about money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I would like to know, because so much of our community right here is talking to customers every single day about their money, because whether it's life insurance, some of them are investment licensed. And so I've been in the business long enough, you've been in the business long enough to know customers will sometimes give high level answers. Usually they do give high level answers. They're not going to tell you anything more than they need to tell you. So I would love, like, I love your question. Hey, what's your relationship like with money? What are some other leading questions that you like to lead with and dig into to get the customer comfortable talking about their relationship with money, what it was like growing up, what it's like now, where those behaviors have come from, and what it's going to look like going forward if they continue and maintain the same behaviors. Like what is that conversation or few questions that are your go-tos or favorites?
What is it about money that's important to you? Somebody will give an answer like, it provides me security. What is it about security that's important to you? I don't like to be stressed out about living paycheck to paycheck. What does that mean? And how do you feel about that? And so I keep digging and I keep digging and I keep digging. And every answer that they give me, I dig further into the adjective that they gave me about how they feel, right? That is one of my favorite questions because you can continue to do it. What is important about money to you? And just shut up and let them talk. And then you grab on to that adjective of how it makes them feel. And then you ask them that question. And then they dig deeper and dig deeper. And before you know it, you're 30 minutes in and you really truly understand what is it that's important to them. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people, they show solutions first and they don't understand the problems. That is the why of those questions, because you want to make sure that you're understanding their conflicts, their problems, their goals. The objections come because I think producers, they don't take the time to dig in and do that first because the client needs to understand that there's a problem. Sure, I could tell them that that's a problem, but nobody cares what I think. They care what they think. When you have the ability to steer somebody to recognize what that particular problem is or what their roadblock is, and then you allow them to explain it, it's like this aha moment for people. I guess what I'm trying to say is I make it clear to the client what they're thinking about their issues, and knowing what I know and my training and my background, then I can come in and say, okay, here's how we can fix that.
Mhm.
Amen.
Yeah.
Versus,
You're preaching.
right, right, like versus, oh, I got a product. Let me show you how great it
Yeah.
is. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so you know,
Right.
you got to
Letting them self-discover. Yeah.
Well, you're empowering the
Instead of your features
customer.
and benefits
That's
scroll,
right. Yeah.
here's all the features and benefits of the problem that you have. And they're like, wait a minute, I don't even know I have this problem.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, you're empowering the customer by asking questions to help them self-discover a problem that they may not have known that
Yeah.
they had. Like I have this conversation a lot around life insurance. So
Mhm.
many times producers and even myself as a young producer, like I was scared to talk about money. So I was just like, "Hey, you need life insurance because it does this, 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 and this." So, well, shit, you can talk till you're blue in the face. Same thing with a financial plan. If they don't know that they have a problem and they don't feel an emotion around that problem, you can talk until you're blue in the face and you're never going to convince them of their own problem because who cares what you have to say? You're just there to sell them something, is what they're going to
Yeah.
think. Like, hey, you're just here to benefit. So I love where you're going with this. And the thing you said earlier, 30 minutes. A 30-minute discovery conversation, you can find out so much about somebody by asking the right questions, digging in. And so I think that producers today have to really be patient with the process and fight that transactional model of doing business and trying to just put products and solutions out there to solve problems. Have a conversation first and then solve the problem.
How do you not have this conversation go on for an hour? Like, how do you feel like, okay, where's the spot where you're like, okay, it's time to start solving the problem here?
I'm smiling because an hour is normal. I think if it's
Yeah.
less than an hour, you're not doing your job. Or I should say, you're not doing the right job
Yeah.
because an hour goes by pretty quickly, especially when you're digging in and you're connecting with somebody. And I think that's the key is connecting with someone on a level of listening intently. And I think a lot of producers, they're thinking of the next question or they're thinking about something else while they're listening. And they don't trust their intuition to know that if you're just receiving this information, trust that you're going to be able to ask the next question based on what you're feeling or what the client is telling you and how it makes you feel, right? There should be a lot of empathy and understanding when you're listening versus strategically thinking about your next move because then you're not locked in.
Mhm.
And I think when someone feels that you're locked into them, they just love talking because who's asking them these questions?
Nobody.
Nobody. Nobody. That's right. I think it's how you establish not only credibility, but trust.
Are you an insurance agent struggling to meet your sales goals? Do you feel overwhelmed and disorganized, making it hard to keep track of your leads and close deals? If so, our sales training program is the solution you've been looking for. Our program is designed specifically for insurance agents who need help improving their sales skills and increasing their productivity. We understand that the insurance industry, it can be highly competitive, fast-paced, which is why we've created a program that will help you stay ahead of the curve and close more deals. We understand that your time is valuable, which is why we've created a program that is flexible and convenient. You can access the sales training lessons and coaching sessions from anywhere at any time so you can fit your training around your busy schedule. Don't let the lack of sales training hold you back from achieving your full potential as an insurance agent. Sign up for our sales training program today and start closing more deals, generating more revenue, and achieving your sales goals with more confidence. There's so much more to the program. So if you're interested in joining the program that's helped over 10,000 insurance agents nationwide, visit our website, www.weaversa.com, or send me a text directly at 816-727-7610 with any questions to find out more. If you aren't willing to form a relationship with somebody and take the time to just get to know them over like what you're saying, an hour, why would anyone ever trust you to create a plan for them for the future that is going to be there for them when it comes to money? Like if you're just trying to rush them in, rush them out.
If we're talking about something like a topic that is money, that usually only gets brought up when there's a problem or there's a devastation. If you start talking to me about what my relationship is like with money and I don't know you very well, my first few answers are going to be softballs. I'm not going to give you the real truth unless you start digging. So I think there throughout that conversation, you do have to build that. That is a level of like giving and receiving on both ends of like, are you actually hearing me with what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that I really feel strongly that my job starts after the product is sold. And a lot
Yeah.
of producers don't do that. They sell it, they're done, never speak to them again. They don't build the relationship. The trust is out the door. And that is not how to build meaningful, solid, trusting relationships. And I know this sounds very cliche, but nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mhm.
That's just bottom
Amen.
line. There's an authenticity that needs to come out naturally about caring. I mean, if you're in this business, you need to care about what happens to these families. And when you're removing the money conversation out of trauma or out of really bad situations that families go through, when you remove the money conversation out of the equation, because money is, oh my goodness, it could devastate a family. It could be such a toxic thing. It destroys relationships. And when you remove that aspect, then you can really focus on what really matters, right? Love and family. And it's important to not just say it out loud, but to feel it because, look, there's an intuitiveness that happens in a natural conversation. If it feels right, you're going to continue to talk. If it doesn't feel right and it's awkward, it is what it is, right? And I think that once you start asking those questions, I don't know, walls just come down
Mhm.
because I also think when people are ready to speak to a financial planner, they're ready to start talking about planning. They're in the realm to receive information. But it's the connection that you have to make with people. Business is done when there's timing and chemistry. There's no way about it. There's no way around it. Timing and chemistry. And if you don't have both of them, it just doesn't happen. And there's a
Mhm.
third one that I've realized in my 30 years in the business. It's timing, chemistry, and money. People need to have money to solve these problems a lot of the time. And so when you just ask questions and just shut up and let them talk, and truly listen to what they're saying, walls come down right away. And what I have found is that people are enlightened by the things that they say because no one's ever asked them that question.
Mhm.
So they're, oh, I never really thought about that. Well, let me tell you what I think. And just listening authentically, the planning and the conversation around planning, it becomes an organic process.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love we're talking about this right
Yeah.
now because one question I get all the time. And so if you're listening to this right now and you are telling yourself, I struggle finding money, I struggle helping customers out with big cases, I struggle helping them plan for the future. What we're talking about right now is the magic bullet, the secret sauce you are looking for. Slow down, ask more questions, establish trust, and just let the conversation flow. And the more trust you build and credibility that you build, customers will tell you where their money is at. Customers will want your help, but you have to be willing to slow down and ask the questions and have the conversation to be able to present yourself as credible enough and trustworthy enough for them to be able to have that conversation with to be able to find the
100%.
money.
Yeah.
100%.
You brought up that your work really begins after the transaction. I'm curious what
Yes.
that looks like for you, what the relationship looks like with the customer after they're actually a customer.
There's so much. I'll give you an example. Recently, I had a client who got sick and he purchased a disability policy from me. And what I've noticed with all of my disability claims folks is, or the clients that get sick or injured, is that they don't want to put in a claim. They're too proud to do it. And I literally have very strong relationships with carriers that I write with, and I offer to get on the phone with the head of claims. We have a conference call. I hold their hand. I walk them through the claims process. I am available to them 24/7. That's aftercare. That is, I'm not getting paid to do that, right? I had a widow call me. Her husband died very suddenly, only at 53 years old, with 9 children. There was an enormous amount of death benefit that he purchased for his family. And the wife called me and said, my husband told me if something ever happened to him, that you were my first call to make, and you are my first call. And she was crying and she was doing her thing. And I have hell, and she had no idea where the money was. She had no idea what was going on. And I literally formed a cocoon of trusted advisors for this woman. I called her daily. She just became a grandmother. I sent her a gift for the grandson. I mean, these are things that I want to show her that I care about you. There was a reason your husband told you to call me. It's because I've got that aftercare and I want to make sure you're taken care of, because at the end of the day, he trusted me to make sure I would take care of her. And by God, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm giving her language because, when there's money that's coming in, oh, everybody starts to call. Everybody wants to know what's going on. And so I provide language to her for her to feel empowered, and simple and kind responses to, oh, do you have life insurance? Do you have this? Do you have that? I say, you know what? Just say you have a trusted advisor. We are going to be fine, but thank you for asking. And that's it. Call it a day. It's the post sale that I think really solidifies that trust because, like I said, I care about this woman. I'm not getting paid a
Mhm.
dime to do this, not one dime, but it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
Well, and in the insurance business, you do get paid residuals on it. So I would agree with you 100%. The real work starts when you actually close the business because now you make them a customer for life. You actually fulfill the promises that you said that you were going to fulfill. We can all talk a really big game up front, but then if you don't fulfill it, if you don't step up to the plate, that's what gives all salespeople an extremely poor and bad name.
And it's not just salespeople. I think
It's all
it's all
businesses.
business. It's
Yeah.
just the experience in general. I think everyone listening to this can relate to a time when they bought something
Yep.
and then afterwards they felt icky,
You're
the
right.
experience just completely went out the window, and you thought, ah, and I think that chips away over time. So it's going to take some work for us to reestablish the fact that not everyone's just out for themselves and we genuinely do give a shit. I think it's going to take some time. So if you're listening to this thinking, I'm having to overcome a lot of things with consumer behavior. Yeah. I mean, it's been years and years of bad experiences that we're going to have to overcome. But I think the only way to do that is to take one person at a time.
On what you just said. If you wanna win in 2024, just give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
actually show up
Care.
and care.
Yeah,
Think
just
about it
show
if
up, right?
yeah. If
Just
this is
show up.
you, yeah. I
I agree.
you know
It's funny you say that because, I am a parent of 3 children and my kids are great and they're financially responsible. We have a great family. And a lot of people ask me, what'd you do? I'm like, you just got to show up. Just show up. Don't say you're going to do something and not do it. You do what
Mhm.
you say what you do, commit to your craft and care, because then you're
Mhm.
not really in it and you should do something else. And when I find a business that gives me extraordinary customer care, by God, I'm going to let them know it because it's so few and far between these days and it drives me crazy.
And I agree with all that. I wanna transition the conversation, though, a little bit, just because I believe that we're getting ready to face an epidemic. I think that we're probably already in the beginning stages, and that's what you call the sandwich years. And there are a lot of individuals right now that are part of our community and that our community is helping. And I would love for you to talk about the sandwich years and what you're advising clients to help them get through this of taking care of parents and taking care of kids at the same time.
Well, I'm in it right now. First and foremost, it is so expensive to take care of an elderly parent. They are literally children. It's like that movie, what is it? Benjamin Button? Yeah. they're literally children. And with stubbornness, with dementia, with physical impairments, and people don't realize that if you're taking care of a parent who is aging, how much time, money, and emotions it takes to do. And the only thing I can say to that is prepare. Prepare. Buy long term care policies. Look at caregiver coordinators. Talk to your parents about, because you get this answer. "Well, my parents don't want to talk about it. They don't believe in it." It's not for the parents. It's for you. It's for you because you're the one that's going to have to take care of them.
Mm.
Oh, and by the way, that's going to cost you about $300,000 of after-tax dollars on an annual basis. Oh, are you also paying money for your kids to go to college? It is an enormous amount of money, and it can't be ignored, and it can't be deflected onto other people because at the end of the day, if especially if you're an only child, there is no one else to rely on. If you have siblings that are married who the spouse could care less about the parent, right? And they've got their own lives that they're dealing with. And so there's this constant conflict, and it will ruin families. It will absolutely ruin families. And so, as I said before, you buy these products to take that money conversation out of the equation. That's why you buy the products. And you have to make sure you're buying these products and understanding what they can do for you because it's tax-free dollars that come to you to help you with all of these issues that are going to be coming up. And it's not a matter of if it happens, it's a matter of when it happens. Because if your parents are in quote good shape and they're healthy, guess what? They are absolutely going to have a long-term care need because there's a new risk that's out there and it's called longevity.
Mm.
They could run out of
Mm.
money, right?
Mm.
They could get fragile. I had my grandfather, he lived to 97. He was healthy as a horse. But at 97 years old, he couldn't wipe his own ass. I mean,
Mhm.
these are the things that happen when you get old. You can't get out of bed by yourself. So who's going to help him in, Miami Beach, Florida, when I'm in Connecticut?
Mhm.
So these are things that have to be discussed when parents are healthy, and you need to help the parents understand that it's not for them, it's for you so that you could take care of them better and longer.
There's such transparency around what you're talking about with planning and money because there's such a focus when you were saying that. How I think about all of the times that we talk about the preparation season of what do you want to be when you grow up or what is your plan after high school? Like there's so much conversation around that, but there's so little conversation around what we know is coming in the future of what happens after 65 or 75 because yeah, I mean, my grandmother just turned 86. She's rocking, but I know
Mhm.
where she's at in her life that there's a different level of care that my aunt has to take care of or other family members have had to take care of. And so that's a different conversation that we need to be just more transparent. And I appreciate you bringing that up. I have a thing where I talk about on Money Monday, and it's a date with your money. And it's just awareness around where you're spending money, where are you investing money. And that's the thing I get the most hits on. That is the conversation. But it's like if we're not talking about the big things that truly matter, we're not creating space for life to exist.
Mm. That's very profound what you just said. It reminds me of my own father when he was going through. My own father died of pancreatic cancer. He lived in Texas. I live in Connecticut. My sister's down there. My mother is there. And when he got sick, the other thing that comes up is with regard to money is some family members don't have it. And so the one that does gets stuck with the burden of paying for everything. And there's a resentment that comes with that. So I remember when my dad got sick, I have twins and they were seniors at the time in high school. And I just remember flying, spending thousands and thousands of dollars on airline flights, and you know, just taking care of all of the medication and the care and the cost. I spent so much money just going back and forth. And I wasn't resentful because we were smart enough to buy a long-term care policy on my dad. We were also smart enough to buy a life insurance policy on my dad years ago. So that when, excuse the expression, shit hit the fan, I wasn't worried about spending all this money because I knew I'd get it back, right? The life insurance gave me back all of that money that I spent and then some to help my mother with her bills, right? So the money, like that's what I mean about taking the money conversation out of the equation, because if I was spending all this money, I don't know if I would have done it. I don't know how resentful I would be. So resentful. There would be hate. There would be and it's and that it would it's so
Mhm.
toxic, that energy. It's so toxic.
Mhm.
So when I don't care about that and I'm just doing what's right, that gave me time with my dad that was really loving and beautiful, and I'll never regret it. And it was because I had that peace of mind knowing that the money would be there when I needed it the most.
So good.
That's powerful. Abby, if somebody wanted to work with you, connect you, follow you, what is the easiest way for them to do that?
They can go onto lenoxadvisors.com, Lenox, not two N's, one N, advisors, advisors.com. They can email me at alarge@lenoxadvisors.com. I think that's and I'm on LinkedIn. Of course, you can send me a message there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Such a great
This
conversation.
was awesome, extremely powerful, and we appreciate you and your time.
I appreciate you and your time. Thank you.
And for all of those that are listening right now, as always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. We appreciate you showing up today. We'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway is. Shoot us a text, 816-727-7610. Other than that, go out and make it great.